Bases dropped on Soccer's morning show. Soccer down here, John here, Jared there. And I guess we'll go ahead and start the show this morning with a couple of these. It gives me a chance to use it, too. Nashville SC has new co-part owner type people. And it is Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Nashville Predators' Philip Forsberg have joined the ownership group. The three other brothers in the Antetokounmpo family have also joined said ownership group. So Nashville SC has new owners, Philip Forsberg, Derrick Henry. Now, Derrick Henry was a part of it. And so you have all four Antetokounmpo brothers and Philip Forsberg have now joined the ownership group for Nashville SC. So once again, Jarrett, you have celebrities diving in and picking up ownership in franchises. And in Philip Forsberg's case, it's a local. So Philip Forsberg decides to invest in Nashville SC locally and the Antetokounmpo brothers, which I find interesting that Giannis and his three brothers now tied to Nashville SC.
Yeah, man. I think it was some of our people in Nashville who did the thing of like, hey, Nashville's got their man up top. Like, don't hurt people like that.
So Lucas was dropping man up top bombs with the signing of Giannis.
Oh man, I mean, it's just, hopefully he does well.
Investment.
Yeah, hopefully he's able. Hopefully, by that I mean like hopefully they take it seriously because
no question.
You want things to keep growing, and you want things, I think, to keep growing, especially in the South, because of what we saw from this weekend, where the two biggest attended games for this sport in the United States were in the Southern United States. That's the good stuff. That's what we want to see.
Yeah.
So.
And yeah, you get to 2 north of 65. And by the way, we weren't done with the breaking news of the morning, because this also happened literally in the 9 o'clock news dump. 9 o'clock, people send out press releases. We start at 9:05, so we get to hit this again. Out of Louisville, Kentucky. And Jarrett, you have been really, really high on Danny Cruz and Lou City. And so the two of them have agreed on terms for a contract extension running through 2025. Cruz entering his third season in charge at Lou City, won the Eastern Conference title in 22, 72 points, 22 wins. The press release has a couple of different paragraphs. 3 paragraphs from Danny Cruz. Cruz came to Louisville in 2018 as the top assistant for John Hackworth, took over interim coaching duties. 1 game into the 2021 season, made him permanent after that. 39, 13, and 13 under Cruz. Youngest head coach to oversee a final squad in the USL Championship final. Then after that piece of information, it was John Neese, one of the owners, a club chairman and CEO, with a paragraph, and then you had 3 paragraphs detailing Danny Cruz, when Lou City starts their season, and if you want to get season tickets in Louisville, how you can do it. So somebody you've been really high on, Jared, is going to stay at his location on his resume.
As he should. Hopefully everything continues to grow for him. I will be very interested to see how, Lou City builds off of, it was a good season, and to see if they're able to continue to take those steps forward in terms of, especially with this new age of USL, where you're not going to have the 2 teams to deal with, which admittedly for the last few years, despite, Red Bulls 2 dominating teams back in the day, it's kind of been that layup game. It's not there anymore. You don't have as much as that, that emotional break when you're playing a 2s team anymore. Nope. If you're one of those teams. So in a way, it's going to get tougher for USL teams. And Danny Cruz might be an interesting one to watch, as somebody needs a coach in MLS in the next few years. Mm-hmm. Well, you won't bring one up. That might be one to do, especially if you don't want to go like the assistant route.
No. Yeah, you want to bring in someone with an established record in USL Championship, and you go Danny Cruz's way. I don't think you can go wrong with any other individual. Breaking news item number 3. Will's getting a new garage door.
Okay.
So, yes. So, congratulations to Will on his new garage door, and
There
obviously,
you go.
congratulations
Will.
to Lou City. That's you keeping Danny Cruz was big, and I mean, we always talk about things in the first division about keeping players, selling players on, getting getting money back and reinvesting and all these kinds of things. For second division, keeping Danny Cruz for Lou City was big, and we are still waiting on MLS Next Pro news. Season's a little less than a month away, and new springs, new garage door springs. Sorry, I forgot to add a word.
That's an important word in this conversation.
Yes, new garage
springs versus whole damn door is those are important differences.
Yeah, so new garage door springs for Will. My apologies. As someone who has a very moody garage door, I can relate to what you need in those kinds of situations. So, but no, second division, that's big news, especially after the season that Lou City had last year and what they're building there at Lynn Family, whether we're talking Racing Louisville in the NWSL or we're talking Lou City in USL Championship. That's big stuff. Once again, no word on the schedule for MLS Next Pro yet. We're less than a month away from the season to start and waiting to see how things lay out in MLS Next Pro. Obviously, keeping an eye on Jack Collison up in Huntsville, seeing what's going on there. They had a 2-2 draw with Red Wolves the other day, back on the weekend. One Knoxville in USL League One had a tie with Atlanta United 2 yesterday, 1-1 draw. So, you got teams still doing their things. We just don't know what the schedule is going to look like, and it's supposed to be a part of the broadcast plan for Apple TV Plus. So we'll see what happens there with all of that. Will dropping $5,000, not about to drop $5,000 on a new door, and so one of the springs broke, blew out a week ago. Other one looks original to the house, which was built in '88. So and Will's going to hang out with Jack tonight. Okay, so cool. Please come back with a scouting report on Friday. By the way, Friday is looking its standard amount of jammed because it is Friday. Friday. Thank you, Sean Vergara.
By the way, people are also getting scarred by the breaking news sounder because they're waiting for the breaking news sounder to actually be Yakumaki's news.
We all are. Yes.
So yeah, just so we're aware, just if people start losing their minds, it's because they're waiting for that breaking news sounder to be Yakumaki's related. Yes. And I think every time it's not, they're dying a little bit inside.
Yeah. And so we're all waiting. No word.
Don't worry. We are too.
Yeah. No word yet on when state departments and multiple governments are going to get together and pair in concert and confirmation that Yakumaki's will be approved for Atlanta United heading into this season. Yes, absolutely true, Sharif, that the newest DP is Cretan. Know some people from there, or at least that heritage. So, that's something that we're keeping an eye on. That's when it's Minotaur season. 2's tied 1-1 with one Knoxville. They were down 1-0 and got an equalizer late.
I believe it was Tony Tiente who got the job done.
Yeah, so that's why whenever we start referencing Minotaur season, Sharif, that's what we're talking about when we're discussing GG. When we're discussing GG, so when we reference Crete and Minotaurs and Cretans and things like that, we mean it in the most positive sense, but no word yet.
Well, Cretians, not Cretans or Croutons.
Yes, no,
This could go a lot of directions, and none of them are accurate.
Yes, true. So Cretians, yes, thank you. I looked at it and didn't and pronounced it literally. Not
Your mother would be so disappointed.
No question about it.
So would mine. It's okay.
No, well, that's how we roll here. So that's your opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch. Once again, Soccer Down here and our friends at Kickoff Coffee. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Kickoff Coffee CO. Use the code Soccer Down Here 15. Thanks for everybody who has. And once again, you get 15% off of everything that you purchase at Kickoff Coffee using that code. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Now, there's a lot of stuff to kind of catch up on this morning. We mentioned that Friday is going to be its standard amount of big. You're going to have weekend whip around. You're going to have beyond goals. You're going to have the sprint and trying to preview everything else in the weekend. So Thursday Thoughts is pretty much whatever's on your mind that we haven't talked about this week, plus what happened yesterday and going into the weekend, since the Friday show kind of flies by. We start at 9:05, we're done at 11:05, and it goes by like that. So this literally, it's almost like Thursday Thoughts, Jared, is the cleaning house day where everybody gets to get everything else off of their chest that has existed all week that they haven't had the chance to get off of their chest before we get ready for the sprint that is the Friday show and getting everybody ready for the weekend.
Yes, this is your theoretical blood transfusion. Good luck.
Yes. So I will start with you, sir. Is there anything that we have yet to address this week? Any holdover material? Anything else on your mind, Scottish Cup, that we might not have had the chance to talk about this week that we now have the chance to talk about this week?
Hey, man, Scottish Cup was pretty cut and dry in that, like, Celtics showed up, played their game, got 2 goals from Kyogo Furuhashi, and Rangers just were kind of out of it and weren't able to really kick it into gear into the second half. And by then, they kind of burned up the fuel they had and didn't have much left in the tank at that point. So by the end of the game, I mean, it was amazing. Celtic didn't make it 3 or 4-1. It's just kind of there's still a gap between them. Beal's doing a really good job, I think, overall, Rangers, because he's keeping them afloat. But they still got some work to do, and a lot of that falls on their ownership for not giving them the budget to continue to build that team up. Because after they went to the Europa League Championship final last year, they sold a bunch of guys, but they didn't bring as much in. They bring, and I get it, like they bring in Malik Tillman.
Yep.
But it's a loan deal. You're going to more than likely have to give him back up. The team is not as good as it should be. After everything that just went down with them, they should be better. And they did not invest in the way that they should have.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's where I'm at with it. Anyway.
Yes. Folks are wondering about broadcast assignments this weekend. They do exist. They do exist.
Yes, they do.
So let's run them down. The 4:30 game, LAFC in Portland. That's Max and Mo. Max Bretos, Mo Adu. 7:30 starts. Atlanta gets Steve Cangelosi and Danny Higginbotham. But the Kanji man and Danny instead of Kevin and Kendra. So, okay.
I think Kevin and Kendra are. God, I just saw this. Where are they? I literally just saw this.
They're in Chicago.
Thank you.
Kevin gets to visit family for the second week in a row. NYCFC and Chicago. They are 8:30 Eastern time. Closer to Kendra's home in the Twin Cities, but Kevin gets to go visit family in Chicago. So I think Kevin's cool with that. The other 7:30s, Krakauer and Lloyd Sam go from Charlotte to Columbus. They have DC United in Columbus. Keith Costigan and Brian Dunseth. So Costigan and Dunny get Philadelphia, Miami. Callum and Kalen, instead of Callan and Kendra this year, it's Callum and Kalen. Callum and Kalen get Revs in Houston. Tony Husband, Ross Smith. The folks in Nashville will be happy about that one, getting to hear Tony Husband's voice, former voice of Nashville SC before the contract evolution. So at Red Bull Arena, it will be Tony Husband and Ross Smith. Tyler Terrence, Devin Kerr get the purple team in FC Cincinnati. And you can tell when folks have worked together in the past. When you look at Tyler and Devin from their time in USL Championship on ESPN+, then Tyler goes from there and he gets the Chicago Fire gig, gets to hang out with Tony Miola. So familiarity once again. They paired Eric Krakauer and Lloyd Sam together because of their time in Charlotte. Doing the same thing with Tyler and Devin from their time on the Plus and USL Championship, and it shows. That rhythm is already there with those two that you're seeing. This time around, it'll be Purple Team and FC Cincinnati. 8:30, Drake Cordero, Jamie Watson as Austin takes on Montreal. We've mentioned Kevin and Kendra, Chicago hosting NYCFC. Followell gets a home game as he's paired with Lori Lindsay, LAG, and FC Dallas at 8:30. Your number one team, it's the first ever game at City Park in St. Louis. Charlotte visiting St. Louis. Jake Ziven and TT get that one. That one should be fun for a lot of different reasons. The pageantry going to St. Louis. And I will say this. I will stipulate that if Country Grammar is not a part of the PA system in some manner, way, shape, or form for St. Louis City SC, if they score or if they do something positive and Country Grammar is not played, you are doing a disservice to your fan base if Country Grammar is not played. And I'm probably sure that I just shocked Jason with that reference. 9:30, Nate Bacady, Tony Miola. Nate, longtime voice of Sporting Kansas City. So Sporting in Colorado, no word if the Prairie Dogs are going to be there in attendance in Commerce City. But Nate Bacady, Tony Miola, 9:30 at Sporting and Colorado. Your late games at 10:30. It is Adrian Healy, Kobe Jones. They are at PayPal Park as Vancouver visits San Jose. And Rogo and Heath Pierce, Mark Rogandino and Heath Pierce, they get to hang out in Seattle for the second week in a row. RSL visits Seattle. So those are your English language assignments for match day 2, brought to us by our friends at MLS Communications. So there you go. There's your assignments, and that's what you're staring at. So and the answer, Ricky, is TT going to be able to contain himself? I think the answer is no.
No.
I think the answer will be a hard no where TT is concerned. He will probably spend more time yelling at folks that he knows in the crowd, and they will be doing the same thing, yelling up at him. It'll basically be a homecoming for him and a great day for soccer in St. Louis. It will be an interesting party, and I want to see how Season Pass covers this from the aspect of Jarrett. There's a lot of the ancillary stuff. There's the outdoor stuff. There's a lot of the buildup. I want to see how much of the pageantry is in the pregame show and how much of it is rolled out, considering that this is your newest franchise in Major League Soccer.
Yeah, this is going to be, and we know it's going to be a party. We're just going to have to be a matter of like how big of a party is it, and hopefully it's just like a fun kind of party atmosphere where everybody has a good damn time and we just go about our business and nobody does anything stupid.
Yes.
It's literally my bare minimum is don't do anything stupid. Minimize the amount of times you get arrested at sporting events. This is a game.
Yes.
And the goal of the game is to get a score of 0.
Yes.
Just so we're clear.
Yes. Off the field, that's a good time to score, not to score anything.
Yeah.
No goals, nothing to add to the scoreboard or anything. Byrne will get into that in just a second. I love that idea. Will says St. Louis Homer TT is the best version of TT. Like I said, I want to see how they play it. I want to see how Season Pass plays this whole thing. How much of the pregame show is in St. Louis? How much do they show from St. Louis? How many live cut-ins do we get in St. Louis? Probably at halftime of the 7:30 games, because that would be in the lead up to the 8:30 kick in St. Louis. What do we see? That's what I want to see. This is probably one of the early tests for Apple TV Plus and Season Pass. How do you integrate special occasions into this grid that you have created, where you have 360 and you have all of these things that are loaded up into your 7:30 window? Then you get into 360. That I want to see how 360 handles St. Louis. This will be one of the first early tests for Apple TV Plus, I think. Really cool idea from Byrne. Season Pass needs a college game day-like run-up show on days like this Saturday. Absolutely 100% Jarrett. True. Hand to my heart, palm in the air. You got to do stuff like this.
It would be nice. It's a niche thing, kind of, considering the sport's popularity compared to college football and like the pre-show atmosphere. It'd be really cool if they did that, though. If they could travel around and do like a pregame festivity in, in the courtyard outside of Mercedes-Benz Stadium, or somewhere special or somewhere unique. I love the idea. We need mascot heads, though. And you need your, but you got to have the right mix of people to do it, of your talent, and they have to have that right balance, like you've had with so long with guys like Corso and Herb Street, especially when they were at their peak. God bless Lee Corso, but Lee Corso ain't it anymore. Like no. He's just, and it's not a thing like he's just gotten bad. He's old. He is no longer physically capable of doing the job as well as he did at its peak. Yep. I would support this wholeheartedly, though, on principle.
Yeah, I mean, Bernd is saying not every week necessarily, but for special occasions. I mean,
oh yeah,
and I think obviously the notion of, okay, we're only in match week 2 and it's the first time ever that you're in St. Louis. I think that if, say, the ancillary programming, if the kickoff show or something was there later in the year when Apple gets their sea legs under them and they figure out, okay, here's what we do. We're comfortable with where we are in a studio setting. Hey, we should go out to St. Louis and we should celebrate what's going on there in St. Louis. I think maybe later in the year, if they did something like that, I think that'd be really cool. You look at, and this I did not see because obviously we were busy, but apparently jumping out from behind the chair and attacking the camera is something that TT did, celebrating and anticipating what's going to be happening in St. Louis.
Okay.
So, sure. And so Bernd asked the question, who'd be Lee Corso on that show?
Man.
Would it be Ray or Taylor? Would you keep Taylor out of the play-by-play booth and make him Corso?
Taylor's too close to it. It's not, and I don't mean that as an insult or that he's not good enough for it. I don't mean it like that. I mean, he's so close to it. I almost want somebody who can convey that emotion on a neutral perspective, like have him on there for sure. Absolutely. But man, that's like, it's right up against his heart in all the best ways. Man, El Presidente.
Okay. Oh, okay. I like that. I like that. Airborne DJ is recommending Alexi come over from the other network and be a part of the party. That Alexi
full heel turn Alexi would be wonderful in this context, man. Like just Alexi just angering everybody in existence. Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
And then you could have the critical mass. Say you were in St. Louis and you had full heel Alexi going against TT.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, it would be like matter and antimatter on the same desk if you're discussing what's going on in with TT. So I would be for that kind of a conversation. So I'm really liking that idea.
And yeah, to Tom's other point, yeah, I saw that that Insigne very unlikely, it looks like, for this weekend's matchup, which means as I've discussed before last night, just build the whole damn plane out of Bernadeschi because that might be what happens.
Yeah. Okay. And Will, thank you for posting the post game moment in 360 where they're all sitting in chairs and TT comes and starts choking people out. So. Yes, good.
That's my move, first of all.
Yeah. So it posted in the Twitch pitch the move from TT where he's choking people, and is relatively excited about the return of professional soccer to St. Louis. Maybe tomorrow I wear my St. Louis Steamers T-shirt as a part of the celebration. Will, they could just use the College Game Day plugins at the World Congress Center. Nix is suggesting retired Bruce Arena, the IDGAF Bruce Arena, to be Corso in your game day setting.
Yeah, he would. IDGAF would be pretty much. I think that's just his general mode on principle. So yeah, I mean, fine with me. Let's do it.
Yep. And Ricky and Ricky, this would be cool if they could figure out a way to do it. It'd have to be a lot of remote cameras and make sure that they all functioned, or that they would take a production truck and go down into the supporters section and take up supporter space, which would be a little dangerous. Smack dab in the middle of the tailgate. Yeah, it would be nuts if you did something like that here. if you're talking about Atlanta United, but the technological demands would kind of be counterproductive. The best thing now, and help me walk through this, Jarrett. Let's say that MLS 360 Game Day, now that we've coined the show, now that we've coined the name of the show, if MLS 360 Game Day is in Atlanta and they use the 4-letter plugins from College Game Day right there in the plaza to do something in the Gulch or in the new Gulch where the supporters groups are, would it not have to be done with remote cameras? I mean, it would have to be done with a lot of antenna, hopefully not being messed up by microwave and things like that. You'd have to do a remote production basically in that supporter section to tie it to the game day set because of how detached it is. You couldn't run cable like 9,000 yards from one place to the other. It would have to be almost a separate production.
Yeah, it would be. Be tricky. There's a lot of places you could do it. And I don't even mean just Atlanta. Like, there'd be places you could do something like that to give it like a game day-ish feel to it. But again, like I said, I think it, as much as anything, you're looking at getting the people right because
Yes.
that's what makes it work. When you get the desk, you can have these great ideas. You got to get the desk right.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have the right people on the desk doing the job, or else it just kind of falls flat.
Yeah. So Will is asking everybody's view of Pat McAfee on game day. McAfee to me is an acquired taste. And he's polarizing. You either like McAfee and his shtick or you don't. Literally, there is no growing into Pat McAfee. It is an instantaneous thing. You either like him or you're like, nope, don't do it. When he's on, I change the channel. I mean, that is the kind of polarizing figure that Pat McAfee is. And I think that folks who watch him when he does either his show or watch him when he's integrated with wrestling, if they like him there, then they like him on game day. If they don't like the show, they don't like his over-the-topness on the Blue brand, then they don't like him also when he carries over to game day. So am I wrong in thinking about Pat McAfee that way?
No, that's literally how I feel about him. I don't dislike McAfee, but yeah, I think acquired taste is a good way to describe what Pat McAfee is. I think he is an acquired taste, which is fine. I think on the other hand, I think you can acquire him, I guess is what I should say, compared to like yes or no. But I think it is a very much, really quickly whether or not it's for you, but it can grow on you. It's not all, it just depends on my mood with McAfee if I want to entertain it or not, because there's times where I'm like, it's great, and there's times where I don't really care. But I want to see him, I guess, like from that perspective, I'd like to see him kind of diversify himself a bit.
Yeah.
And be able to hit more than, one or two notes.
Mm-hmm.
That would be great. But, yeah, I don't know. Like, Lawless might be the closest you get to that just for raw insanity and goofiness.
Yeah.
And also being able to, because we know that he can run the heel. We know he can run heel as well as anybody. Talking about Lawless.
Yes.
But can you be more than that?
Yeah.
That's my question.
Yes. So that's kind of what you're staring at when it comes to Alexi. Byrne was also thinking about Bruce Arena, Idgaf Bruce Arena, to be on that desk for game day.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, as long as it's Idgaf Bruce Arena instead of like Bill Belichick Bruce Arena, and I think that building that you coach in kind of rubs off on folks. If you just kind of mumble your way through, then no one's gonna listen. But I think if you're Idgaf Bruce Arena and you come in and you're just dressed all in black and you don't care and you're just gonna just fire off opinions and things like that, I think that'd be entertaining. I think people would enjoy Idgaf Bruce Arena as a part of the MLS 360 game day set. David, Steamers, you're the Dallas Sidekicks is what you're thinking about with Preki. Dallas Sidekicks was the MISL team. The Steamers were Slobo Ilievsky was in net for the St. Louis Steamers. And how do I know this? Because I was the guy that watched the MISL when it was on USA Network. And you had Kim Rotvid in Wichita. You had Stevie Jungle in Tacoma with the Tacoma Stars. You had Stan Stamenkovich in Baltimore with the Blast. You had the Cleveland Crunch. But, yeah, Steamers was St. Louis. Dallas Sidekicks with Preki was in that was the MISL team. So that's your MISL down here rundown for the morning. But, yeah, I was the kid that watched it on USA Network. So that's how how I know all about those things. And Bam is voting for Knicks on MLS 360. Force. Sorry, David. Thank you. Yeah, so Bam is voting for Knicks on MLS 360, which would be interesting. So it would be an interesting run. Let's see. Burned for the MLS 360 game day set. Jillian, Dunny, and Miola, retired Bruce Arena. I like that desk. I really like that desk.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, because with Dunny, you get someone who knows what they're talking about, but Dunny will go off the rails with you. I mean, to be, Dunny posts a lot of photos with his family on Instagram, and I think he was sitting with Max Bretos and a third, and I can't remember who it was on his Instagram. And he mentioned that 2 of the 3 people in this photo remember the series Chips. And it looked like Ponch and John, and that was the reference that Dunny made. And the third person, there's no way that third person, who is of a younger variety, would understand the Chips reference that Dunny made on his Instagram account. And so, of course, me being me, I chimed in and I said, but yes, the main goal of Ponch and John was to make sure that Sergeant Contreras could only raise his eyebrow once per episode. So that, if you had someone like Dunny who knows his ish, but can kind of give you references off to the side and have you think, Tony Miola, who once again knows his stuff, but he's not going to take any crap, Jillian, who would sit there and be the conductor, and then you bring in retired Idgaf Bruce Arena to be the curmudgeon of the group, I think that would play. I think that plays. I think that you have probably Dunny far right as you're watching on camera, because that protects Bruce Arena from being over on the edge. Then you have Miola and Idgaf Bruce Arena in the middle, and Jillian quarterbacking on the left-hand side. So that would be
awesome. You need somebody like Jillian to play quarterback for sure. Like, I just need you to keep, like, you put Jillian on there. Like, why is Jillian here? Jillian's here to just keep things moving.
Yes.
The same reason that we had, the same reason that, like, Ernie Johnson exists, the same reason that back in the day JB exists on the Fox pregame shows, was just that we need to keep this train moving and hope to God it doesn't absolutely blow up.
Yes. Burned is like Arena would give Dunny and Miola so much ish for their takes. Not wrong. Yeah. And Coco, we thank you for this. Coco may conflict with our game day commitments with Atlanta United, but give Coco the SOT crew for MLS game day.
Oh my God, we wouldn't get anything done, man. Also, you couldn't show that on cable. Actually, you would have to show it on, like, you'd have to, like, run it on HBO.
Well, hey, but I mean, Apple TV Plus, it's a streaming service.
That's fine. Just I know that Nick and I would start working really blue really quick.
Hey, like I said, frankly, Coco, humbled that you would think of the 4 of us to do it. I think it would be a hell of a show. Obviously, that means I think that I would have to be the ringmaster, and with you, Nick,
not going to work.
With you, Nick, and Jason on the rest of the table.
It's not a ringmaster when you would be antagonizing Jason every 5 seconds.
Will is saying that you'd have the black helicopter segment with Nick, or just black helicopters everywhere.
Yeah, everything is a black. If everything is a black helicopter, we'd build the entire damn thing out of black helicopter.
Yep, yes, and accurate. Coco says put the SOT crew on the secondary game day production, like ESPN, like what ESPN does with SEC game day, that runs concurrent with.
Okay, to be fair, the way SEC Network stumbled upon absolute brilliance late last year with Tom Hart leading that crew doing like the SEC Network game where I think they kind of approached it as like, they don't really care. They're not holding us to a high standard. We're just gonna be insane, and it worked so well.
Yeah. And the other thing that they do during the game of the week in the SEC Network, late in the game when they bring the crew and they have them on the field, I think that was a brilliant idea. Where you have the three of them, you have T. Hart, Little Bachelor, and Cole just kind of near each other. And if Cole is still doing his sideline duties, they're calling the game from the sidelines. That's brilliant. I love that idea. I'd love to see something like that in other sports, but you'd have to have folks who are confident and comfortable in what they're doing and who can do it well down there in a sideline position. Will says, doesn't think the rest of the country is ready for you and Nick on a show.
Oh, we wouldn't get anything done. They wouldn't learn anything, that's for sure. I don't know if they would even be entertained by us. They'd probably just be confused and annoyed. That's okay. That just means I have another satisfied customer.
Yes. Bam, who's in this morning, because it's Friday with Bam. So Friday for Bam. Anyone here would love to see MLS 360 do what they did in Germany and have fans watching in silence. Depends. I mean, they tried that in the American football game, Bam, a long time ago, and it was weirdly received. Some folks dug it, some folks didn't. So I think you might have to have an option for something like that.
Hey, if you want to get really weird with coverage ideas, go back and research. For those of you that might have been too young, I don't think most of you are, no offense, go back and research back when Monday Night Football just started throwing anyone they wanted in the booth, including Rush Limbaugh and Dennis Miller.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was a very weird time for broadcast television.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, and Nixon, it's all four Antetokounmpo brothers and Philip Forsberg from the Nashville Predators, who are now part of the ownership group of Nashville SC. And Sam is saying that you would just keep bringing up Celtic every other segment.
No, I wouldn't. I could go without doing that. Especially now that they're not like angering me on a daily basis. Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah. Will,
the answer to your question, Will, is not Celtic. It is San Jose.
Yes, that's
the difference here, bud.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing SDH MLS 360, for lack of a better way to phrase it, if you're doing SDH MLS 360 game day, so that's what we'll call the program right there, SDH MLS 360 game day. If we're doing that, then we have to keep it mainly Major League Soccer. So I think Jarrett would be bringing up San Jose in every segment, in addition to all the other games that we would have to cover. So, So now this was after Cosell and Dandy Don and Keith Jackson and Frank Gifford, where they kind of went off the rails when it came to analysts. The four-letter, when they got it, decided they wanted to bring in Donovan McNabb and then bring in Rush Limbaugh, and that lasted, I think, the sum total of one episode, and that didn't go over well. Nix remembers the Dennis Miller days. He says he must have blocked out Rush Limbaugh. I don't think they put the two of them on at the same time. I don't think Dennis Miller and Rush Limbaugh were on at the same time. I think it was subsequent years. I think Miller was first, I think, and then Limbaugh came in after that. Morning, Alex. So go to that bastion of journalistic integrity, Wikipedia, Will, and do a Monday Night Football search, and it should be able to give you the crews and the orders as to when things happened and when things didn't happen. So, Monday Night Football, they went off the rails trying to bring in anybody trying to be different because they thought they needed to be edgy, and this is where
I guess they decided it wasn't good enough with Pat Summerall and John Madden.
Yes.
Weirdest damn thing you've ever heard in your life.
Yeah, I know. So we'll go off the rails, by the way, and absolute truth that. Okay, so Bam has some international news. Australia, Ecuador, and Sydney, and in Melbourne, confirmed for March 23 and 27. Will has your times for the Jack Collison meet and greet. It's for an hour today, 5:30 to 6:30 Central Time. Let's see. And Michael wants to know, with Gigi, if the visa is approved either today or tomorrow, would he play Saturday?
I guess he could. So I discussed this with Sam and Joe. Here's the thing, man. Gigi has not played a game since the middle end of January. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting him to walk in the door and be like ready to go playing 90 minutes.
Yeah.
If you told me that, hey, his visa came through and he's able to give you 30 minutes, maybe 25 minutes, cool, great, happy with that, honestly.
Yeah. So, I mean, you'd have him come in, have him, run around for a little while and cause and wreak havoc on folks. And I think that's what you're hunting for. It's like kind of like
General Mayhem is the goal here.
Yeah. So, if you had General Mayhem and Lieutenant Chaos, if that was Gigi and Derek Etienne, then if you had those two at the O Club for your offense for Atlanta United, then literally I would look at it as, okay, how many minutes can you give me running around late? And, of course, I'm sure that Yakamakis would sit there and say, yeah, whatever you want. I'll go out there. If you need me for 90, I'll give you 90. But obviously that's not.
I don't think I can give you 90 right now. That's okay.
But
that's not.
Just go out there and run. Just like just go out there and run. Give me good 30 minutes of running like hell and causing problems. And I think that's what you would be hunting for in some combination of Miguel Berry, Jackson Conway / Yakamakis running the spear. So that's what you're hunting for there. Will, once again, with the reminder for those of you here locally in the SDH footprint, weather was really crappy in Arklatex last night, and it's headed this way. So for Thursday, just be very, very weather-wise, weather careful, weather cognizant, weather knowledgeable. It's supposed to be really bad through Friday morning and then Friday afternoon, just in time for the field to clear for hopefully the SDH games of the week, Lakeside and Riverwood. That is going to be 5:30 and 7:30 at Riverwood, weather permitting. Field conditions permitting up at Riverwood tomorrow. Once again, thanks to everybody who was at Sequoia for the Lassiter and Sequoia games on Tuesday. Boys and girls both won 6-0 against the Chiefs. And it was great to catch up with everybody at the AV club and the class there with Coach Mann and Sequoia and see how they were doing things. And Jason got to be the voice of their simulcast on Chiefs TV. So it was great to catch up with everybody at Sequoia. Hopefully, weather permitting and conditions permitting, we'll be out at Riverwood tomorrow for games of the week. And then we'll get into broadcasting and all those other kinds of things going on. But, yeah, just be weather aware today. So then let me ask you this, Jared. Should Emilio hold off getting his Gigi jersey?
I mean, it's not like the deal's not going to happen. I mean, it's just you're waiting for him to get approved. Also, this whole thing that people got mad about him, like, so he had apparently this lawsuit in Scotland, or not a lawsuit, but like a driving charge where he drove holding his phone, and they take it very seriously over there. And people were like, wow, that's so silly. Like, yo, we live in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
You can get popped with a ticket for doing the same damn thing here. Let's not pretend like that's not something that you can get popped for in this state too.
Yeah. So that's So Emilio did think that he had read something about Gigi and a traffic infraction back in November. So, but yeah, so
yeah, not like a critically bad traffic infraction. I think it was literally he was driving while holding his phone, which again, in Scotland they take seriously, and they take seriously here in the United States, in Georgia,
yes,
specifically.
Yes.
I think Florida is still a state where you can hold your phone because Florida is basically the Mad Max wastelands condensed into one state. But yeah, like in Georgia, yeah, you can't just do that.
Yeah,
they do give you tickets. Can confirm you can get pulled over real quick doing that.
Yes, they do. And the Airborne DJ with a piece of trivia this morning. I was not aware of this. 61st anniversary of the Wilt Chamberlain 100-point game in Hershey, Pennsylvania. That because it was in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and it was back in 1962, there really isn't a whole lot of proof that it happened, other than anecdotal evidence and the photo of Wilt Chamberlain holding up the 100. So 61st anniversary of Wilt Chamberlain getting 100 after Damian Lillard scored 71 within the last week. Which
It always makes me think of the commercial with Kobe Bryant and Jalen Rose, where he sees him in a restaurant and Kobe's ordering a martini and they ask him how many olives and he looks at Jalen and goes, 81. And just stares at him. He's like, nah, I'm kidding, just 2. It's fine.
Then you got Nick's with your credit card joke. Sam, in hour number 2, we will get into all of the other news that's going on. I have Premier League stuff. We got to talk about Ivan Toney, and Peterson with, once again, stupidity down here involving a CONCACAF nation. All the quarterfinal cup sets yesterday, including one involving Grimsby Town out of League 2. News with Paulo Dybala and the continuing saga of Juve. And then we have Liverpool and Fenway Sports Group. And then in the championship, you have the possibility of more point deductions because of teams being stupid.
And I'm turning into a pumpkin, but to Ricky's question about Giacomakis in Toronto, that's probably a sign things are progressing because at last check, I know a couple other people have said this, so it's not like breaking news. Also, not a lawyer. Some of y'all might be. Especially immigration law can be weird.
Yes.
But he's here initially on like a tourist visa and then had to leave and then will come back in on his work visa. So it might have been a matter of he had to leave the country temporarily, then will re-enter with his work visa on an official matter. So hopefully that means that everything is set and he had to spend a day or 2 out of the country and then they'll be able to bring him in. Which explains why he went to Toronto to go see a Toronto Raptors game. No, he did not get it wrong in the sense of like, you realize the game's here, right?
Yeah.
Wrong stadium.
Yeah, the game is not at BMO.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, the game is not at BMO. The game is down here. No, everything.
Yeah, to my knowledge, that's the thing is that like you, that you have to basically you're here on like a tourist visa at first, and then you have to like leave and re-enter with your work visa.
Right. So yeah, there are ways to stay within the same hemisphere. It's just it can't be in an official capacity, and you can go and kind of hang out in other places. So
Sam saw Scott Brown with hair. Scott Brown might be clinically insane. Like he's been growing it much like Krillin. He has no longer been waxing his head, apparently, and Scott Brown's just growing his hair out, which I guess he could do the whole time. We just assumed that he had hair loss and was just shaving it and going for it, a la Nick Leafy. No, Scott Brown just shaved his head for his entire career just for the aesthetic of the psychotic guy back behind the bar.
Absolutely. The article, Jarrett, and I'll get into that here. Scott Brown, and it's an article by Jason Burt at The Telegraph. And he says, quote, "It was more to intimidate people than anything. I shaved my head before every game, and it was to look a bit harder, to look more aggressive, to show that I meant business. I would always try to pick on the bigger guy, never the small guy. I wanted to punch above my weight, wanted to play Champions League, wanted to play against Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and I loved it. I loved playing against the best players in the world. I did it quite a lot, and I thrived off of it."
Yeah, he's just an insane human being.
Yeah, he says, so Jason Bird asks, so it was a bit of an act then? He goes, quote, "Yeah, you could be anyone you wanted for 90 minutes. As soon as I crossed the line, I became a different person. I was quite chilled and relaxed away from the pitch. On it, I was a pantomime villain. I could become a bit of an a-hole on the park," end quote.
He also had said early in his career that he had to avoid sugary drinks like Iron Brew and Coke and whatnot because they gave him too much energy and he would run around and get too hyped up, which he already was through his entire career because he started out playing box to box and then slipped back into like Destroyer 6 territory as he got older. The idea of him being more hyped up is not safe for human beings to be around. Doug Roberson says Gigi won't train with Atlanta United today. That phrasing kind of feels like maybe he's getting close to being here. I don't know. Hopefully he's maybe coming back to the States. I haven't checked his, we don't have a flight aware for,
we need a flight because I have flight
get
aware.
the college football folks on GG.
Yeah. I need a tail number. And then that way I can track Gigi because I have a flight aware subscription. So if anybody has a tail number, then we're cool with that. Yeah, so we will see you tomorrow for the whip around and possibly a golden ticket guest in the 10 o'clock hour as well.
Sounds good.
All right, so we'll see you tomorrow.
All right, see ya.
There goes Jarrett Smith, continuing Scott Brown. He says, quote, "If I felt we were struggling in games, I would try and set the tone with a tackle. I would smash someone or try and play a good pass or win a header. Right, come on, lads, let's go," he says. "It's just trying to be as positive as you can. I'm big on body language, and I don't want anyone slumped over looking like they don't want to be here. If you don't want to be here, then F off. Wherever I've been, I wanted to be. Hibs, Celtic, Aberdeen, Scotland, because that was my decision. If I didn't want to be at Celtic, I would have left, and I love being here. Here meaning Fleetwood Town as their manager. League One, appointed last summer, first managerial job, and he was going into a match yesterday against Burnley in the FA Cup. And so they lose 1-0, but I think that probably speaks a lot to what Scott Brown has been building there. Andy Pilley, to appoint him, he says it was brave of the club. And quoting Jason Burt, but it was brave of Brown also. League One is a ferociously competitive bear pit where he could have been spat out, yet he's quickly transformed Fleetwood's style of play, and with 13 games to go is in 11th place, having already beaten last season's points total and is on a run of 5 wins and 6, with the stats published daily on how the players are performing. No excuse about not being picked. Being not picked, hard work is a given. Brown delivers that message. Quote, "We punch above our weight, and we'll keep punching above our weight, and that's the best thing about Fleetwood. We're a small club. We're well run. We got nothing to hide. Come and watch our training. We could not care." A year ago this week that he hung up his boots. Quote, "Yeah, hearts away. That was ish. Got beat 1-0 playing for Aberdeen. Devastating to say that my last game in football was at Tynecastle, and it was a 1-0 defeat. Could I have carried on? I probably could have, but there comes a point in your career when you have to see the bigger picture. I didn't want to start embarrassing myself, getting beat by younger players who are quicker and taking more yellow cards than I've taken before, and people start to say, who's that old guy?" So 14 years at Celtic. Brown never lived in Glasgow. Family home was and remains Edinburgh. And it was his release and his escape, although he cherished every moment there. So if you've got a subscription to The Telegraph, Jason Burt with a catching up of Scott Brown, who shaved his head on purpose. He was not bald at the time. So very, very cool stuff from Jason Burt catching up with Scott Brown. And since we are getting close to the top of the hour, I'll go ahead and read it. We'll go ahead and get into the promo. So get your scorecards out. And we will get into the reading of the promo, and we will see what you guys think with a music level of 11, because it's one more than 10. So here we go. And that is kind of low. So let me go up to 12 in retrospect. All right, that's 12 today, because sometimes when I punch 12, it's really, really loud. So that's 12 today. For odor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go. It's the Lemonize Service. QR code over my left shoulder for those of you watching on Twitch. Lemonize Service deodorizes enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. They've created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pets, cigarettes, and food. Realtors and property managers use a Lemonize Service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. It's a turnkey process. Makes it easy to work with, said realtors and property managers. Kind of the environment we like that these days, a very green way of getting rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than Febreze or other masking agents that you have either beneath your sink or above you in the cupboard, because when you reach beneath the sink or above you in the cupboard, you pull out the masking agent and you spray it in the air. And there's a reason they call it a masking agent. It's because you're just masking the odor, not attacking the problem, like our friends at the Lemonize Service do with their proven scientific formula. Pricing very, very easy, one of two ways. Either by the cubic foot or parts per million and come up with a price that's affordable for you. Offering results in 24 hours or less. If you have any questions, frequently asked or otherwise, one place you need to go. It's the website. This is where I grab my pen. Website's lemonize.com, but do us a favor. After the .com, go /Atlanta so they know what part of the world that you are reaching out to them from to end a sentence and a preposition. So your full homework assignment, should you need their services, ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, lemonize.com /Atlanta. Lemonize Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH. for your Thursday thoughts here on Soccer's Morning Show as we take a tour around the planet and all the other news of the day to start hour number 2. There's your fade for what it's worth. All right, so time for the grades. Go ahead and bust them out. Let me know what you think. Not loud at all. Okay, see, that's the thing, Tom. That's the thing. Some mornings, like I said, I would have the volume at 12, and it is blowing me out in the headset. Some mornings, I'm at 11 or 12, and I can barely hear it myself. So I don't know what the hell's going on. So I try to think of 11 or 12. Maybe I should just go by feel in my ear, and if it's too loud, it's too loud, and then go down from there. So Alex didn't hear any music. Then when I shut up, you probably heard it. Yes, and today, Ticketmaster was announced as an official partner for Major League Soccer, so we thought that up as well. So Coco, 7.1, really can't hear the music, solid read. Knicks, 5.5, distracted by the music. I'm distracted by trying to read the perfect promo. I'm trying to read the promo as best I can with everything going on around us. So I don't know if that means distracted or focused. Ricky heard the music, so that's an 8. Forecard just walked in, so it's a 10. OG, little stumble on the read, don't really care about the music, 7.25. So we do have our ref assignments, and so we'll go to Pro, and we'll see what Pro has to say about who is where for this week. So referees assignments, MLS. All right, so here's our assignments for officials for week 1. That's week 1. We need week 2. So we need the week 2 assignments. We don't need the week 1 assignments. Assignments, MLS on the Pro. So how do we have assignments for week 2 when I only have week 1 posted? Okay. All right. That's interesting. So Pro doesn't have it listed, but sure, why not? What the heck? All right. Doug. All right. So so Doug dropped him. Okay. Thank you. Let's see. Nima Sagafi. Okay. So we will have someone. We'll have a solid dude in the middle. Nima Sagafi. Kevin Klinger, Megan Mullen, your ARs. Your 4th official is Sergei Demyanchuk. He'll be getting an earful. Your VAR is Michael Radchuk, and your AVAR is Tom Supple. All right, so that's your assignments. Nima Sagafi in the middle to try to keep an eye on the track meet that might be the case with Atlanta and Toronto. Well, but the thing, Tom, it's morning dawn start. The thing is that I've never adjusted my headphone settings. And the feed settings are consistent through the program. And I've never adjusted my headset because the headset for me is I've always locked in and I'm cool. So it was just weird. Alex, I'm not going to let the people bring me down, Alex. Reads are great. You're good enough. You're smart enough. Doggone it, people like you. Thank you, Jack Handy. The only thing missing is the sweater, I guess. Just look into the mirror. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Yeah, MLS announced Ticketmaster is their official ticket partner. Pearl Jam would not be pleased. So we got that. And well, maybe Gigi was scouting the opposition, Nix. That's actually a pretty solid thought. Maybe he was. Maybe he was doing a little scouting. On the road hanging out. On the road. Doing a little work for your team. You can see how that goes. But no, I don't think you have to hold off getting your Gigi jersey. Sam, you got a trophy, yes, in the Gummy Bear Cup. Arsenal got the win yesterday, so now everything is all honors even with 13 matches to go, 5-point lead over Manchester City. Can Arsenal hang on, Bart Keeler? All right, you Gooners. You got 13 matches. 13 matches to go. 5-point lead. Abby, and we'll go ahead and hope that everybody does this. Healing prayers for a family member. Shout out to Abby's family. And keep them and all of your warmest vibes headed that direction. Saw this, Ricky, yesterday. Yamil Assad possibly, probably, maybe heading back to D.C. And I find that interesting because folks don't get younger as they play. Let's see what Yamil Assad has been up to for the 90th time. Yes, I accept all the silly things that you're going to throw at me, Transfermarkt. I accept all cookies. I'm aware of this. Okay, so Yamil Assad was at Without Club FC, and he had, let's see, so he was at Universidad Católica. His contract ran out at the beginning of the calendar year, so he hasn't been playing at least for a couple of months. And so, he was at Without Club FC. And in 2022, for Universidad Católica, 13 matches, 1 goal, and a yellow card. 273 minutes in those 12 matches. So that's basically coming in and giving you 20 late or 25 late. Obviously, most of his time in his career has been as a left winger. So I need a breakdown of what he did at Universidad Católica. I don't need a breakdown of the league itself. So, okay. So back in the Primera, let's see. In the Primera, and we'll go through the 2022 year. He played in their final 6 matches after a run of form. Okay, so here's Yamil Assad. For those of you who are hunting Yamil Assad statistics, you have not in squad, on the bench, 10 minutes. 4 matches not in the squad. 3 matches where he came off the bench. 3 matches not in the squad, came on for 4 minutes. On the bench, not in the squad for 3. Off the bench for 17. Not in the squad. So there was a run where he was not in the squad for 8 out of 9 matches from July 3rd to September 15th, where he was not in the squad. Then you had not in the squad for both legs of the Copa Sudamericana against Sao Paulo. On the bench or not in the squad for 5 of the 6 matches in the Copa Libertadores. He played in garbage time against Flamengo, where he played left wing and played the sum total of a minute. Then finished up the season for Universidad Católica, where played 20 minutes against Colo-Colo, 13 against Nublense, scored a goal against Unión Española, playing a half. Played 22 minutes in a 4-0 loss to Unión La Calera. 13 minutes as an attacking mid against Audax Italiano in a goalless draw. Then he played left wing and came in and played 60 minutes in the season finale in a 2-0 win over Antofagasta. So came in, had a lot of garbage time, but there was a stretch where he wasn't even in the squad for 8 out of 9 or 11 out of 14 in the heart of the schedule from April 24th through September 15th. So if DC United thinks they see something, DC United thinks they see something. They think they need help on the left-hand side, and so they're going back to the well to possibly bring in Yamil Assad to kind of see if Yamil can help them out. That's DC's prerogative. That's all I'm going to say. Folks are volunteering other credit cards if the Visa does not work for Gigi. Emilio, the Apple announcers are the play-by-play and color are at the venue, yes. Because if you look on Kevin Egan's Instagram, If you follow him on the IG, I don't know if it's on his Twitter, but I do follow him on his Instagram, and there are pictures inside the booth from the last week where he was with Kendra D. St. Alban. So they are here. They're in that booth right there at the 50. They don't show up on camera at the beginning, which I think is odd, to establish them as the announcers on site, to establish that you have announcers on site. I didn't see them off the top. So I don't know if that changed. I don't know if that happened during the half. I don't know if that, because I was kind of busy. I don't know if that happened early in the halftime or early in the second half, but I did not see them appear early in the broadcast to establish themselves as being in the venue and it not being a remote broadcast. So as far as I can tell, from the pictures I see from Callum Williams when he's on the road, from the pictures that I see from Kevin Egan being in the press box at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, in the booth at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, it appears that they're on the road. I don't know about other language broadcasts. I don't know if a Spanish language is done remote. I don't know if French is being done remote. But from what I'm seeing, English language, all the English language broadcast teams are on site from what I've seen so far. Will likes getting all the different announcers. I know that, and what I like to do, as you've noticed when we see the announce pairs, is I will say if it's a home game for somebody. Because remember what Apple wanted to do was to have announcers with familiarity in their markets. They wanted to have a regionalization of those announcers. And so that was why in week 1 in Charlotte, you had Eric Krakauer, Lloyd Sam, because they did the Charlotte games last year. You had Kevin here in this market because of Atlanta United. And there have been other home games. And, that's why I always will mention who's got a home game. Like this week, Mark Followell's got a home game in Dallas. Kevin gets to go home to Chicago because he's got family there. Kendra lives in Minneapolis, so it's kind of like meeting in the middle-ish kind of a thing. So there are announcers that will get home games. Mark Rogandino and Heath Pierce seem to be camped out in Seattle for the moment. But, yeah, so you will hear me say who gets home games as a part of the regionalization idea that Apple TV Plus had coming out of the block. So that's an interesting question, Ricky. When will Kevin and Mo get paired? I don't know if they will, considering that I think these are your pairings. I think these are your broadcast pairings. So unless there's a game that Kendra can't do, then that would be an opening for Mo. But right now, it's Kendra and Kevin, Callum and Kalen, Kanji Man and Danny Higginbotham. And so you have your pairs with some. I mean, Jen Hildreth would be paired with Lori Lindsay, but Jen is doing the ACC women's basketball tournament, and that's why Mark Followell is paired with Lori Lindsay this week. So when you get through the tournament play, then everything will kind of calm back down, and you'll get into your pairings. Michael, how is Gigi going to win Golden Boot if he only plays half the matches? Nix, with the appropriate response, I think, scored twice as many goals in half the matches. There you go. And I'm glad that we had the MLS 360 game day discussion because I think that'd be epic. I think that'd be really cool. Bam, it will be something that you will see if you get a home game. For your first home game, would MLS 360 duck in and show a ring ceremony or a banner raising, those kinds of things, those things that are interesting to the home sides if you're out of home market. Those it's like, okay, LFC's raising their banner. And so you if you're MLS 360 for me, you cut to that moment. It's an important moment for everybody in Los Angeles at BMO Stadium. You get your ring, you get your procession. Everybody comes up to the platform. You get your ring, you show the ring off. You pop the box open. You sit there. Everybody shows what the rings are, and everybody gets their box, and they walk from one end to the other. Then you get your banner raising there at BMO. For me, that would be something that you would have to show in MLS 360. Sure, MLS 360 game day that we'll call it. That's something that you need to show. But it would only, because of the 10:30 start, it would probably be only available in the 360 audience and not universally. Just because of when it airs compared to your East Coast audience. Unless the East Coast audience gets that gap time after the 7:30 match, like from 9:20, 9:30 Eastern time until 10:30, in that gap space, that it would get shown in MLS 360. So I mean that's all the other kinds of things that you're looking at here. And Jarrett mentioned Insigne, highly unlikely. It's something non-contact leg, something possibly groin, muscular, something in there, which means that you lock down Bernadeschi. Let everybody else do theirs. Let Richie Larea fall down. That's what you do. Make sure that you lock down Bernadeschi. Let everybody else get theirs. You do. National League Rugby kicked off tonight for BAM, so BAM's had a very busy day. Let's see. Soccer Nuts 256, the Hunt City Supporters Group has a weekly slot on a Huntsville radio station. That's very, very interesting. And Abby, and thank you for the reminder here. Supporters Group secured the new lot, and it's great to see so many people. That's very, very cool. Too many logistics. This is Dreamland right now. LOL. I know, and that's true, but that's the fun part. You've got to do something remotely, so you're going to make sure that your frequencies are clear, that you have no interruptions from anybody else, and that you can show what's going on remotely. You'd have to have a lot of remote cameras working their way through the crowd. I mean, it could be done with microwaves and repeaters, considering where things are, and you'd have to work your way around the stadium. But it would be cool to see if you could do something like that on the WKAC, apparently, for the Soccer Knots 256 show. Michael was in the Gulch on Saturday. Pre-match show there would be wild. Space is very compact. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like if you wanted to do something, you would probably have to do something with a reporter and a remote setup. It would have to be remote cameras and probably somebody like Michael Waltrip doing his pit walk, something like that. It would have to be somewhere in there, or it would have to be something separate, like Marty and McGee-ish, off to the side, there with the remote cameras, in where the new Gulch, aside and apart from where you would have MLS 360 game day. So that's where it would be. That's different. Knicks, I think they all are on site. Like I said, I mean, I'm looking at broadcast teams and I'm looking at announcers on their Twitter feeds, and they all seem to be on site. Like I said, I don't know about the French language or the Spanish language. Those might be done remotely out of New York. But English language, as far as I can tell, everybody's English language is on site. I need to check the West Coast guys like Brogandino and see if they are, in fact, on site. But they keep calling Seattle. But Rogo and Heath Pierce are calling Seattle games, so we'll see what's going on there. Yes, so David, thank you for the Force versus Crunch. Yes, San Diego Soccer's Wichita Wings. Ron Newman, the head coach of the San Diego Sockers, leading them to all those championships. Kim Rontvid was a part of the Wichita Wings, buried somewhere in my stacks. I believe I have a Wichita Wings t-shirt. And the San Diego Sockers still actually exist in the newest, the MASL, which I think is the new largest top division indoor soccer league. The MASL, I believe, has the San Diego Sockers. The San Diego Sockers still exist, by the way. Let's see. Trying to catch up on the Twitters before we get into the news. Barca has signed Ronaldinho's son. Not a surprise. I figured, that's kind of like Inter Miami signing Brooklyn Beckham. Is that the son's name? If you got ties, then they'll sign you. Let's see. First home match with Toronto since the Air Force One hat trick. I know folks would like to have a repeat of that. And Michael, and if Gigi is available, just build him up, get him out there, let him run for 20, let him run for 30, 45 if he can do it, then 90. So once he gets here, get him out there, let him run, let him get integrated, let him get moving. So that's kind of where I am with all of this. Ricky, public service announcement. MLS announced league attendance of 380,502. Highest season opening league attendance of all time, which I guess makes sense with the most teams ever. But remember, Ricky, you had Charlotte and Atlanta both over 65,000. So if you were to pull 65,000 away from that, you would probably have everybody in your regular venue sizes. So it would be, under normal circumstances and normal venues, about 315,000. And we had that discussion yesterday. Yes, you can watch MASL games on Twitch, Bam, and they are available. And I have saved that channel, which you can do as a part of your elements. You can on Twitch, kind of like what you can do on Twitter. You save or you favorite folks. You can favorite channels on Twitch. So if you're here and you're watching us and you want to watch games in the MASL, you go to the MASL channel or the NWSL channel, you favorite it, and you set your alerts. So when they have a new broadcast, you know about it on your Twitch channel. So very, very cool stuff there. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anything else on the board. I'm also trying to catch up with you guys on Twitch Pitch before we get into news, gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Let's see. So in Florida, you're required. Yeah, of course you are. Yeah, and I know that there's a lot of discussion about folks with cell phones and driving and all that kind of stuff. If you're driving and you get in a wreck, that's your fault. First off, you were not paying attention to the state law. And if you're not paying the state law and you got popped, then that's on you. Yes, put your phone down, people. Absolutely correct. Put your phone down. Bam with a new piece of sport trivia from Melbourne, Australia. Melbourne Storm in the Rugby League have never lost a round one match in 21 years. That includes 1 year with a round one bye. And we've got the beginning of AFL this weekend, don't we, Bam? I think it starts like late tomorrow night. You said, or is it the 5th or the 6th? I know that somewhere in here that we get the beginning of the AFL season. I think you remember discussing that with us here. Let's see. Yes, Scott Brown was a monster when he didn't have any hair. Then let's see. We'll go through temperatures. Yes, prepare for conditions, everybody. Prepare for conditions. Make sure that you're okay. Be prepared for everything else that's going on. I know that Newcastle, I know that Coco, you and Alex are disappointed with what happened in the Gummy Bear Cup final, but you got some tough ones coming up. You really got some tough ones coming up. Prim and Proper, by the way, will be out later this afternoon. And Thursdays with Nico actually will be on a Thursday, 1 o'clock Eastern time. We will have Nico Moreno from the Soccer Bar and from Pulso Sports discussing things from a Western perspective for a full half hour. So when we sign off a little after 11 o'clock Eastern, Nico Moreno comes back at 1. Prem and Proper will be posted on the network later this afternoon. If you missed it, Soccer's in Session was released last night, where we catch you up on the high school game here around the state of Georgia. Jason goes all over all the matchups, all of the rankings, all the news, and the In Session interviews this week are with Nathan Dooley out of Perry. We catch up with him, and Matt Roth out of Veterans with the hot starts that the girls in Perry and the boys in Veterans are having. We catch up with them. Those are your In Session coaches interviews this week. Soccer's In Session, by the way, brought to us by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Kaiser Permanente, thrive. Let's see. Nick, City and Man U, 2 of the next 4. Tough to maintain pace. Yeah, that's the key. Max home to LAFC. LAFC is the early game this week. Yes, it is. Knicks, Messi gave gold iPhones to his World Cup teammates. So Almada got one. And then Knicks with the appropriate link in the photo to show that does, in fact, happen. Yeah, Coco, no doubt. You went with Loris Karius in the Gummy Bear Cup. I think Karius held himself accountable fairly well. I mean, you only lose 2-0, and I can't remember the last time that Karius was active in a match because Pope was injured, Dubravka was cup tied, so you had to go with Loris Karius. March 15th is AFL. Thank you, Bam, because I'm getting antsy for my late night Friday and Saturday fix for the AFL, but because of Dubravka being cup tied, and he'll get a medal, by the way, because he was cup tied to Manchester United. So he gets a medal. He's cup tied. He's the number 2 keeper for Newcastle. He can't go. Pope is injured. You go to Loris Karius. You only lose 2-0. So that's where you are this morning. All right. We have news, and I will phrase it as such. We do have our share of stupidity down here that we'll be getting into this morning. And it comes from Annie Peterson with the AP. And it once again, we always talk about things that are going on, and you just want to sit there and scream about what's going on. And let me see if I can find the article. Zlatan has returned for AC Milan. You've got Valencia visiting Barca as they're getting close to the drop. Let me go to the Twitters because apparently it's not going to help me out that way. I want to get the phraseology right from Annie Peterson when she posted the article yesterday. Once again, all this stuff gets posted in the afternoon, and it doesn't help us. Okay, so here we go. Here's your go-round of stupidity down here today. Yep, Don Star, we mentioned Giannis and his three brothers and Philip Forsberg from Nashville Predators. They're now all a part of the Nashville SC ownership group. So, I mean, it was literally ridiculous that that we get this from Haiti. And so, of course, now the article doesn't want to load, so I'm going to have to do it this way. I know this makes for incredibly riveting radio. And for those watching on Twitch, you sit there and you go, it's fantastic audio. John, you're doing a great job. All right. So the article from Ann Peterson having to do with our friends in Haiti. And it has to do with their ex, and it's from Yvan Sanon and Danica Coteau. From the AP, Haiti's former soccer federation president, whose lifetime ban from the sport over sexual abuse allegations was overturned last month, announced Wednesday that he is reclaiming his position. Yves Jean Bart's defiant announcement, once again, this is AP's wording, could lead to a standoff with FIFA, which already has appointed an emergency management committee to lead the Haitian Football Association through November. Jean Bart's virtual news conference was held a week after Haiti's female soccer team beat Chile 2-1 in a historic match and qualified for the FIFA Women's World Cup finals for the first time, sparking jubilant celebration across the country. Jean Bart has denied allegations by the FIFA Ethics Committee, which issued a lifetime ban after finding him guilty in 2020 of sexually abusing female players as young as 14, keeping mistresses and preying upon girls from impoverished neighborhoods. CAS overturned the ban 2 weeks ago, ruling there were inconsistencies and inaccuracies in statements of alleged victims. The court also said that information provided by groups such as Human Rights Watch and World Players Union FIFPro were not, quote, sufficiently evidentiary, end quote. Jean Bart, who was joined by several attorneys during the video conference, also said he would file a lawsuit over alleged defamation against a freelance journalist who first reported the accusations against him in the British newspaper The Guardian. Quote, he's going on the offensive, let it be known, his attorney Stanley Gaston said. Gaston said that Jean Bart is fighting cancer, and it's not clear when he would return to Haiti, noting that all business would be conducted virtually. Another attorney, Claude Ramoni, stressed that Jean Bart is no longer suspended and that it's his right to continue serving as president of Haiti's Soccer Federation. Quote, this is from Ramoni, he was elected as president for 4 years and his term has not ended, Ramoni said, adding that FIFA should recognize him as such. They have to accept it, end quote. FIFA officials did not immediately return a message for comment. It is unclear whether FIFA has to let Jean Bart resume leading the Haitian Federation. The emergency panel appointed by FIFA to lead Haiti's Football Association is led by a veteran soccer official from Cuba and is set to represent Haiti on March 16th in Rwanda, when FIFA's 211 member federations have their annual meeting. FIFA could deny Jean Bart a credential to such events it organizes, including the Women's World Cup that starts in July. The tournament's being co-hosted by Australia and New Zealand. The month-long tournament is being co-hosted by Australia and New Zealand, typically require Haitian citizens to apply for a visa to enter. It also wasn't clear if FIFA planned to appeal the court's decision to uphold Jean Bart's appeal. My guess is they will. Human Rights Watch said CAS wrongly annulled, in quotation marks, Jean Bart's lifetime ban, called on FIFA to appeal the ruling. In Haiti, FIFA and the sport of football gave Yves Jean-Bart enormous power, including to abuse child athletes and cover up his abuses with threats to kill survivors and family members. Minky Worden, Human Rights Watch Global Initiatives Director, said in a statement. In its hearing, the court failed to provide basic witness protection, despite knowing that many athletes and Federation staff had received death threats. Jean-Bart, who had led Haiti's Soccer Federation since 2000, also announced Wednesday he would create new protections to prevent sexual abuse, including establishing an ethics committee. Quote, I have to thank God for the support and the strength to fight all the allegations over the 20 years from my enemies in Haiti and overseas, he said. They continue to try to beat me by all means, end quote. That is from Graham Dunbar, and that is also from Yvan Sanon and Danica Coteau. So you got that. And Rich has posted in the Twitch pitch for those looking. You know, we were discussing for a long time yesterday about branding in New York and New Jersey and trying to having the Red Bulls embrace their New Jerseyness. Rich has posted a photo of the new apartment complex that seems to be going up right outside Red Bull Arena, where if you have Red Bull season tickets and you live in the apartment complex, literally you can just walk across the sidewalk and go to the match. But so that's your go round of stupidity down here with Yves Jean-Bart and Ivan Toney. We've discussed this. Ivan Toney could face a 6-month ban from the Premier League, or he could face a ban of an unknown length. But right now, the word that came out was a 6-month ban for Ivan Toney, with the answers that Toney gave for the allegations about his betting on matches. And so what Toney has said in return is that what he wants is he wants to know who leaked the information out. He wants to know who leaked it, and wouldn't surprise me if there's some kind of legal proceeding if it continues in that regard. So grab the details once again from our friends at the Telegraph about Toney, the leak, and what it could mean. And it does not appear that there will be any kind of answers in this case until the idea of April. April is the moment that is on the board. And Toney demanded that the FA carry out a leak investigation. After details emerged, he had admitted to multiple betting charges but was contesting others. Remember, and this goes back to November, initially he was charged with 232 alleged breaches of betting rules. Then Toney got hit with another 30 in December. So he had to answer to 262 alleged breaches, charges of multiple betting, while and this was when he was in the lower divisions. It was not while he was at Brentford. Yeah, holy noise complaints, Batman, no doubt. So charged with 262 breaches, disciplinary proceedings set to start in the next couple of weeks. Revealed he was shocked to see reports emerging he had admitted to some of the allegations, and that's where Toney is his hottest right now. Quoting Toney when he wrote it on social media, it was especially disturbing for me to read the FA is saying, I shall be banned from football for 6 months before there's even been a hearing, and it does make me worried about the process. My lawyers will be writing to the FA to request they conduct the leak inquiries. This is the second time stories have appeared in the newspapers, last time just before the selection of the England World Cup squad. The breaches allegedly occurred between February 2017, January 2021. During that time, Scunthorpe, Wigan, Peterborough United, and Brentford when they were in lower divisions. Remains to be seen whether it will have any impact, according to, once again, the Telegraph, on Toney being selected by England for their upcoming matches against Italy and Ukraine in March. Toney was called up by Southgate earlier the year, didn't make his international debut, not included in England's squad in the World Cup. Once again, it was admitted that it was just for footballing reasons that he was not selected for the England side. So you gotta keep an eye on that as well. Arsenal with their 4-0 win over Everton You got to keep an eye on that. We mentioned Liverpool's owners because of all of the stuff that we hear involving Manchester United and whether or not they're going to agree to the Sheikh picking them up or Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos. So it's either greenwashing or sports washing. Take your pick. But apparently the Glazers are not happy with the price tag and what is being offered so far. Remember, it was just round one. Another article out of the Telegraph, Liverpool owners Fenway Sports Group target media companies to take a minority stake. A contender, and this is from Sam Wallace and Chris Bascom, a contender to invest in Liverpool could be Liberty Media. Let's just hope that Liberty Media would be investing more in Liverpool than they did in the Atlanta Braves. Beat 2, 3, 4. Remember, Liberty also owns Formula One. So Fenway's looking at major media companies to possibly take that minority stake. They're examining a partial sale valued by Forbes at 3.6 billion pounds, and a sale would give FSG an idea how the market currently values the club. Obviously, FSG is not going to comment and sit there and say, yeah, we were talking to folks. You don't do that during a negotiation. Yeah, we were talking to folks, but we're still talking. So-and-so said that they would pay us, X amount for a minority stake. FSG declined to comment on potential investors or indeed the sector from which they may come. John Henry, principal owner at FSG, said last week the club were quote, talking with investors and that there would not be a full sale. Mentioning Liberty Media, equity value of 4.4 billion euro when they picked up Formula One from CVC back in 2017. It also owns SiriusXM in the United States. And, of course, Liberty Media is not going to sit there and discuss what they're going to do. Formula One, remember, announced the partnership with Spurs for the electric karting track to be built underneath the South Stand for public use in championship racing. And so the deal, once again from Bascom and Wallace, prompted suggestions that Liberty may look at Spurs as a long-term investment because of the tie to Formula One. So Liverpool has, in the past, sold stakes to other companies. In 1999, they sold about a 10% stake in Granada under the auspices of ITV. Size of the stake that FSG is prepared to sell is not quite clear. They acquired the club for £300 million in 2010. Sale of Chelsea for $2.5 billion, once again, has raised expectations. The Glazers are looking for a full sale of Manchester United at about $5 billion. So if Fenway Sports Group sells a portion of Liverpool, they can figure out and proportionalize and sit there and go, yeah, one's tied to the other, and okay, so we think we're valued here as opposed to 5 or whatever. So once again, it's just for a portion of the whole deal. It is not for the whole thing. Revenue from Liverpool is up 27% from last year to just under 600 million pounds. So you're looking at that from Liverpool, possibly chasing after other folks. Let's see. News of the day, gossip, rumor, and innuendo, because we do have another couple of things. Once again, we've got some cup sets in the FA Cup yesterday. Sunderland goes down. Grimsby Town stays. We're now in the final 8. And we'll go over the matchups coming up in just a bit. Football Italia with news about Juve and the continued shenanigans centering around Sam, someone please buy my club. Yeah, someone please buy my club. Hashtag Glazers out. We got news about Reading possibly with another points deduction, Birmingham City with a points deduction on the table. It wouldn't hurt Reading as much, considering what their current position is. It would hurt Birmingham City more. We'll get into that in just a little bit in the lower divisions. Yeah, we'll get into Football Italia and Dybala, and it might be worth $1, Bam, right now. So, all right. So gossip, rumor, and innuendo, things left unsaid. Who's chasing after whom and what it looks like on the day. We'll get into juice boxes also as well. All right. Manchester City have emerged as contenders to sign Declan Rice. if West Ham are tempted to part with their 100 million pound rated captain. Rice is thought to be Arsenal's primary transfer target this year. Real Madrid are monitoring Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle United. Former Spain manager Luis Enrique has been linked with Chelsea as the pressure continues to build on manager Graham Potter. Remember, Potter's 2-7-6 since he started this most recent run. Bernardo Silva's future Manchester City's not clear. Barcelona continues to monitor the situation, ready to move if he's allowed to leave in the summer. I'd like to know how they're going to pay for him. French midfielder Houssem Aouar has turned down a move to Manchester United, agreed to join Eintracht Frankfurt when his contract at Lyon expires this summer. Napoli aiming to tie down Kavica Kvaratskhelia, who's been linked with Chelsea and Newcastle, to a new contract until 28. Inter Milan are interested in Loris Karius. See what the Gummy Bear Cup does for you? Former Rangers and Aston Villa boss. Oh, I can't even read this with a straight face. Actually, Tom, there's a debate, and we'll get into that with the news of Birmingham City. Former Rangers and Aston Villa boss Steven Gerrard has attracted interest from PSG as a potential replacement for Christophe Galtier. Sure. Scottish Daily Express. Sure. Stevie G and PSG. So I guess it's Stevie PSG. Uh-huh. Wow. Okay. Keep an eye on that one. Raheem Sterling's agent says he's not looking to leave Chelsea in the summer amid reports linking him to Arsenal, and has, quote, expressed no discontent despite a difficult first season. Former Stoke forward Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting has agreed to a one-year deal with Bayern Munich. The Frenchman been linked to a return to the Premier League with either Man U or Tottenham. West Ham have joined the list of clubs watching the progress of Bristol City midfielder Alex Scott, listed at £25 million by the Championship Club, also linked to Newcastle, Leeds, Spurs, and Wolves. That comes to you from the four-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. And yeah, Ricky, maybe they should, but you know that PSG it's always going to be shiny objects. Ricky, maybe PSG should just focus on building a team instead of a super team. No, they're going to focus on spending money and bringing all the high-priced toys. They're the sharper image of soccer. You open the catalog, it gets you into trouble. So, Stevie PSG, keep an eye on that one. No, Ricky, they're not winning Jack. They're not winning Jack or Jill at the moment. Okay, so Sky's papers. All right. Avoiding the 3 and the 4 letter, as we always do. Daily Mirror. We mentioned Stevie PSG. The word the Daily Mirror use is bizarre. Bizarrely backed to become the manager at PSG despite being sacked 4 months ago. Jamie Carragher believes Pep Guardiola will, quote, never sell a player to Arsenal again due to the Gunners' impressive form this season. Daily Telegraph, we mentioned FSG looking for minority owners. We'll get into Reading facing their second points possible deduction. I know that Jessica Charman's probably staring at this with her hands covering her ears. Sam says that PSG is the Brookstone of the soccer mall. Not wrong. Daily Star, Arsenal made their next priority securing William Saliba's future after they tied down Bukayo Saka to a new deal. Daily Express, Luis Enrique is focused on the Chelsea gig. Liverpool interested in signing by both Levi Colwill from Chelsea and Jared Branthwaite from Everton, but both deals are said to be off limits due to the Reds' respective rivalries with both clubs. Scottish three-letter paper, Rangers icon Barry Ferguson reckons his old club blew it by not trying to sign his nephew Lewis from Aberdeen last summer. Celtic had been presented with a major logistical challenge after the dates for next year's Asian Cup were unveiled. And also Jim Goodwin has now found a landing spot, Dundee United. So Jim Goodwin is back in the SPFL. So he found a gig after being released from Aberdeen. We mentioned the worst run club in the pyramid and the debate going on. Is it Everton? Is it Birmingham City? Who is it? The debate continues, but for the moment, you got news out of the